Hi guys, and welcome back here to a new video. Today I'm gonna cover the workflow, or in other term, the BPT for OutSystems ODC. If you don't know, I have already a video, a tutorial that I cover the step-by-step on the OutSystems BPT, okay, in reactive. So if you are new here, you can check the BPT if you need it as well on the reactive. And you might learn something new on the BPT part, how it works and everything. And I want to cover now in the Odyssey because it's different. It's not the same way that we build in reactive, okay? We have now a different studio, we have different software, we have a different way to see the workflows and different ways also to run and start and finish the activities. Okay, and we also have a new widget, which is the parallel. At least I know that we can run in multiple ways, different things like different APIs, different logic, and so on. And I want to cover and show you how we can use them in Odyssey. So let's start. So in the Odyssey Studio, that's the one that you are seeing right now, we now have a different software, okay? And as you can see, this is my my environment, okay? And when we create the environment, at least on a trial, which is OutSystems gives us 10 days trial. Okay, this is my first day. I have already this in my environment. Why? Because ODC works as a community. Okay, so he doesn't show only what you have, but it shows what your community has. Okay, so when you create an account here, what OutSystems does is to grab your account and insert in a community, like a group. And as you can see, we can walk through and see what the other people in our community are doing, okay? Other apps and so on. Okay, so we can also check that we have a different set here, a different design on the configurations and so on. We also have here the go to ODC, and the ODC, this is the new, let's call it service center, okay? But in reality, this is your community, let's say, management tools that we have. You can see our apps, the workflows, which are the processes that I want to cover in this tutorial. We also have different things here in the deliver, monitoring, the same that we had on the service center on OutSystems 11, right? And we also have here the integrity. We also can manage users. Under here, the configuration, we can configure emails, domains, and other things. And we also have the forge with all assets and my assets. So it works the same way. We also have already assets for ODC, okay, which is cool by the community in OutSystems in order to us to develop things even faster, okay. And we also can cover this with agents in ODC. Also, they created a Forge component in order to work with AI, agent AI. Or you can just create your own in ODC or even in reactive or traditional if you want, and just call an API and do like integration with ChatGPT, OpenAI, or Gemini, or something that you like and you want to create in your application. Okay, that's total free. You can just use that, and that's all. So let's move on this. Okay, so back here in the ODC Studio, we can also install from Forge apps. We can search here by the apps that we have. Also, we can filter by all assets, web app, and other types of applications that we have. Agent, this is regarding the AI, okay, the agents that we create. You can also sort by these 4 options. And here we have the create. And as you might remember, on reactive and traditional, we have different things here, like library. I think we have microservices, something like that. We had tablets and so on. So in here, we have on the first step of the wizard, we have app and we have library. So the library, it's like let's say an app that we use in order to create elements that we might reuse in other apps. Okay, so let's say that we want to create a new widget with JavaScript and so on, and that widget will be used in many applications. So in that case, we create a library. If not, we just create an app. Okay, so we're going to choose here an app. So here we can choose by web app and mobile app. Okay, we also have templates already, which is cool. In this case, I'm going to create a web app. And let's create here, so workflow tutorial. I'm not gonna upload an image here or a description, but you know the flow, I guess. If you are new here, you can just use the image or change this. It's up to you. Then also to add a description, it's always important to set a description, but this is just a tutorial. I'm not gonna do that, but you should do it in the real app. So let's create the app. Okay, so now we have our application created. Okay, so different things here that we have on ODC, besides the new design here, the new navigation on the studio, on the software. We have here on the right, the tabs. We have events. It's no longer named as processes. Still, we have the second tab, the interface. The third tab we have the logic. Okay, I don't think we change anything here. Okay, we change here in we don't have the SOAP here, or the other types of integration, I guess. In this case, I think we can integrate with different things, but we need to check first on the ODC Service Center. Okay, I guess that's there. But in this case, in this tutorial, I'm not going to cover that, so we don't need to focus on this. And on the data, we have pretty much the same that we had on the reactive. Okay. I think also here in the settings, I think it is called already settings under reactive. If not, we can just assume this is a site property because it is. And also we have the secret if we want to show as password type, like an asterisk, or not. And I think we already have this also in reactive, so it is it is the same, so nothing new here regarding this. Okay, so let's focus on what is this video for. So here in the events, that's what we need to cover. We have events folder and we also have the timers. So the events here works pretty much as the processes, but in here we cannot create an event. That's the only thing that we do, and the rest we manage on the ODC Service Center. Okay, so if you create an event here, like we create an event on a block, okay, it is the same, but it works only for the processes. Okay, so if you create an event, as we can see, we can set the name. So let's say just launch employee process. Okay. Also, don't forget to set the description. We also have the if it is public or not. We can run these without being public. We can run here in action and use that action inside that action or client action and so on. We can do that. And we also have the handler. As you can see, it's not mandatory. Okay. So let's use here, let's create a new one. So let's create a new server action. Okay, in order to run that. And what I can do here is just, let's say, we can just use this just to set something. I don't know. So let's create this as let's create an assign. It doesn't matter. It just want you to see how it works. Or we can just create, maybe it's easier. So let's create here an entity. Okay. So the entity I'm gonna cover, let's set here employee. Let's just set here the name and age. It's just to show you that this works. And after that, let's just run the create employee. Don't forget to see the other videos that I have, because the correct way to use this, you need to create new actions, okay, in order to encapsulate the CRUDs and not just grab these and use these in here, okay? Don't forget this. We could also to create the table inside a library. That's the correct way to do it. But this is just a tutorial just to cover the BPT part, the workflow part. So I'm not gonna cover step by step everything, only the workflow. Okay. So the employee, we can just map this and select. This is just random. Okay. So let's say here Pedro and age 31. Okay. So this is integer. No, this is text. Okay, let's change to integer. This is text, and we have the ID. Okay. Also, don't forget to set the description for the attributes. Okay. So the create employee, if you do this, if you run this every single time, I'm going to create the same records. I know, but it's just to show you that works and how it works. Okay. So in this case, we have these already set, and as we have here, this doesn't trigger anything. So we need also to trigger this one. But let's publish first and let's see what we have on the ODC Service Center. Okay, so let's go here and let's publish. Okay, so now let's go here to the, it's not this, I think it is in the home. Well, let's go back here and click home. I guess it's better. And now Let's check what we have here. So on the workflow, as we can see, right now we don't have any workflows. First, we can also import workflows. I never tried this before, so but just show you that we can do that. Let's just see what it does. So we can just browse and get that workflow. Okay, but I'm gonna hit cancel. Or we can just create one. So let's create. So let's give it a name. So employee process, or just, oh, sorry. Wait, what's happening? I clicked many times the enter. Okay, so let's go back here. I apologize. So also in the workflow, we can also see the details, have producers, have revisions, and we also have the instances. So what it ran, so the activities and so on. And we can also check so we can change the process, the workflow. I'm gonna say a lot of times a process because this is because I worked too many years with reactive and traditional, and we call it processes, but this is workflows, okay? And as we can see, the same that we had before on reactive, the start and the end, when we start the process, or in this case, a workflow, we have here the same, but it's not inside the studio. It's in the ODC community space or ODC service center, okay? So as you can see, we have here the start, and we also have here the app that we want to use, and we have the event that we want to associate in order to trigger this process or in order to trigger this workflow. Okay. So in this case, we created the launch process, launch employee process. That's the name that I give it to the we call it system event. That's the name that we call it. And he understood that it belongs to the workflow tutorial app. Okay. So after the start, we don't have anything, just the end. So we can just create something here. So I'm gonna allow this. I don't know why. Okay, so let's allow. Okay, so now we have the widgets or elements that we can use inside the workflow. So we have the human activity. This is pretty much the same that we had on the reactive. We have a different properties, but it's the same. We also have automatic activities, which is the same. Decision, which is the like a switch that we can, depending on the validations, we can go to a different exit. Okay. And we also have the parallel. Parallel doesn't exist on the reactive or traditional. This is something that we can run in the same time, like different APIs, different logic, and so on, different emails. It depends. And we also have the weight. This is the weight, so we don't have. I don't think we have much difference here in the reactive and traditional. Besides the properties, I think that's the only thing that it changes. Okay. So in this case, I'm gonna create a human activity, and I'm gonna set here. So let's set here the description like create employee. Okay, so create employee. We have different properties here. We're not going to cover right now, but just to show you how we have fetch more data. Right now, I don't know what it does, but we're going to cover this. No worries. The assign to is just the user that we need to assign this activity. Also the roles. We can set it as a role. We have the destination screen. This is the same that we had on reactive. So when we are on this human activity, we are in the some specific screen. Okay, so we can, let me just say, okay, so if you are here, we are on the, let's say, employees, projects, dashboard, and so on. The display method, I don't remember this. So let's see. I don't remember this, but we can cover later. And also we have the two last properties, which are the most important ones, which is the close on. The close on is the action or the event that will close this activity, or we have the close after timeout. So after a period of time, we close this. We don't care if it was meant to be closed by someone, but we just ended it. Okay. And we also have the custom. We can also create a validation here. We can manipulate this in order to only finish depending on what we have here. So which is pretty cool. It's like having the studio inside the service center. Okay. But in this case, I'm just gonna cover at least for now the close on. And the close on, we only have the system event. That's the one that we created in our ODC studio. Okay. Okay. So let's go back here to the studio. And we have to do some things here. Okay, so we know on the workflow side that we're going to start the workflow when we call this. Okay, but this is not used anywhere in the app. Okay, so we need to launch this. Okay, so on the launch process, employee process, we want to create employee, and this action is associated to this one. Okay, so when we run this, what we actually going to run is this, and simultaneously the workflow. Okay, so let's go here and let's create a screen. So when you create the screens, I think this is pretty much what we have on reactive, if I'm not mistaken. And let's create here the name like employee. So employee workflow, I guess it's better. Okay, fine. Now let's create a button. And let's set here like launch employee workflow. And we need to create a client action. Okay. Now, if I want to drag and drop this inside the client action, as you can see, it doesn't work. Okay. Because this only works inside the server action. Let's see if it works inside the service action. Let me see. Also works inside the service action. Okay. We can also use this if you want. Okay. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use in the server actions. So let's create here like a folder just to launch system events. So let's call here system events. And we have here already the actions related to them. And what we can do is also create a new folder like system events actions. Yeah, can be like this. Yeah. So this is the system events. No, handlers. Yeah, it's better, handlers. Yeah, because that's the correct name. That's what we have here, handlers. Okay. So these ones, or this one is the handler, but now we need to also launch the event. Okay, so we're going to create a new event here, which is going to be called the let's say, what is the name of this? So we have launch employee. Let's change this to workflow. And here we're going to set as launch employee. Also workflow. I could copy that, but yeah, I forgot. And here we need just to drag and drop this. Okay, that's it. So what we're going to do is to go back here in the interface, drag and drop this, and this is going to run this, which is going to run this, and this is going to run this. Okay, it's like a it's like a roller coaster, but that's the way it was built. Okay, so let's see if it works. After, let's just send here a message like employee workflow launch. Okay, and let's change from info to success, and let's publish. Okay, so now it is published, and let's go back to the process. Okay, not sure if he's gonna get, yeah, he doesn't get the, no, he gets, oh no, sorry, I forgot to create one for the human activity. Yeah, I forgot that. So let's create a new system event. So let's set here like employee accepts, or employee review. Okay, so let me also change the name here. So it's not going to be the create employee, it will be like employee review. Yeah, it's better. And now in the employee review, we need to do the same. So let's create a system event here for the employee review. And let's drag and drop this. Now we need to associate the handler. So let's create a new action. Let's drag and drop here on employee review. And what we're going to set here, we can create a static entity. Let's say employee status. And on the employee status, we can change his status. So let's associate here the employee status ID. And let's use for now two status. So onboarding and accept, and also let's create already the reject. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, so far so good. And right now let's go back here to the employee. Let's update the employee. And in order to update the employee, we need to get the employee. But let me just let me see how we can do that. So we have the on-employee review. Even if I create here an input parameter, yeah, we can do that. So we can use as input parameter, okay? So the employee ID, employee identifier with the data type correctly. And we can get the employee. So in this case, I'm going to change this to 1 because we are just expecting to have 1. And here we're going to set a filter. So employee identifier it will be equal to the employee ID. So far so good. And now we associate the current one, but first we need to assign the employee status to, let's say, in this case, let's just accept this. So on employee review, on employee review accept. Let's change to this. This is just a test case. You can do other things here. Status ID equal to accept. Accept, yeah. And after that, we just update the employee. That's okay. Oh, he also needs to use the employee ID. Okay. So let me check. So after that, I think it's to have a little bit more understanding. So we can create here a new button, which you're going to call it as accept employee. Yeah, let's say accept employee. Let's create a new action. Accept employee on click. I like to do it differently, like on click. No, you didn't copy and paste, I don't know why. And also let's do it here. Let's remove this on the suffix. So the way that we did here, it was to call the system event. And now we need to do the same. So we have the employee review. Also, let's change this to accept. And on the employee accept, we need to drag and drop this. And in this case, he's gonna ask me for the input parameter, but right now I don't have anything to give it to him, so we need to change this a little bit. Okay, so this is the action that was associated with this, and that's why he's calling us for this one. But it doesn't work like that, so we need to think in a different way. So let's call it here. And now let's send it the employee identifier in the employee review. And let's just, now we have the employee identifier, do you see? Now it works. Have the employee identifier. And we also have here, I think this will work. And let me go back here. So we need also the employee identifier here. So what we can do is just to go back here, but this will not work. So what we can do, let's see, because we need to get the employee identifier that we are using here when we launch this. So let me think. So when we run these, we don't have access, and also we cannot set output parameter here. And I think we cannot do anything on the workflow side on the ODC Service Center. So the only way that I'm seeing here, just to do it like this way, in this manner, what we can do is just to, after we do this, so after we run this, we run the create employee, we grab this value here, okay? So one way I'm gonna do it here is by, I'm gonna just use a client variable, okay? So let's say here employee identifier. This is not the correct, or in other words, you're not going to do like this in your real project, but it's just a way to show you how we can do it and have the value, okay? So on the employee identifier, we're gonna, after we create the employee, we're gonna grab that value. Oh, okay, yeah, he doesn't let us. So I need to change this in a different way. Yeah, I think pensando. I guess we need to do some changes here. So we can change this. So instead of using this in here, we're not gonna set it here. I'm gonna not associate any handler. And let me just, for an instance, disable this. Let me go back here. And in here we have our system event. That's when we run this, it's going to trigger the workflow. And after that, we can launch the create employee. Yeah. So after that, we run this. Okay. And right now, I can use the employee ID. I'm gonna just assign the output. There we go. And now let's go back here. And I need as well to create the output here. And we're gonna set also the output in this action. I'm gonna use the output parameter that is getting out of here. And now we have the employee identifier. So let me change. So let me also create one local variable here just to make sure that we have the employee identifier, that we are creating it. So let's use the employee identifier and the output parameter. And there we go. So after that, so let's wrap up. So when we run this, we're going to launch the workflow. We're going to create the employee. We're going to have the output parameter. Why? Because we need the information in the screen level in order to continue the process, in order to continue the workflow. So after that, we're going to hit accept employee. And now let's enable the element. And let's change this. So now we are expecting to have an employee identifier. Now we have. And after that, I think we can run this. Yeah, we can run the employee review. And let me try. Okay, so here we are getting the employee and we are changing we are updating the employee. So these might work. We need to check it out, but I think these make sense. So let's publish. Okay, so now we should have everything ready to test. Okay, so let's go back here in the screen and let's open it. Can assign end user access to these? Choose the appropriate role based. Okay, so this is the first time that I'm trying to open the screen and we have this feedback message. So assign the end user access or open in the browser. Okay. So what happens when we have an ODC account? What happens is that the user that we have that is generated by OutSystems doesn't have any role associated. So that's why he's asking us if we want to assign or just open the browser. So if you try to assign the end user access, he will pop up the ODC service center. Okay. And as you can see, we have here, in my case, I have my user, which is active. And I have here the end user process. And as you can see here, we do not have any groups associated or assigned, or even end users. Okay, so one way to do this is to assign the roles and do that. Okay, but I'm gonna do this from start to end, not just starting there. So if you go here in the service center, we can click here, go to the profile, just to show you the full path. Go here in the end user access, and now we are on the page that we were before. So let's assign the role. Okay, so our role, at least in my case, if you go, if you go under here in the logic, we have the workflow tutorial. Okay, and also in order to open this, we need also to have the workflow tutorial role. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's search for the apps. I think our app is workflow, something like that. No, maybe it's not. So let me go back here. So yeah, it is workflow tutorial. So I'm not sure why it's not showing. That's weird. So let me search for tutorial. Workflow tutorial. Okay. And as you can see, we have the app. Okay. If we try to tick this, and if we save, which we have the assigned role, we have two tabs, all roles and assigned roles, and we can save. And now in the end user role, we have the workflow tutorial role that belongs to this app. And also we have a column, which is the stage, if it is development, if it is testing or production, and so on. Okay. So now we are good to go. So let's go back here. Let me try to open now. So he's trying to open. Okay. Don't forget to use your credentials. And voila. So as you can see, this is the default page that we have. We also can see that we are logged in as Pedro, which is my profile. And we have here the the two buttons that we have in the screen. Have the launch employee workflow, and after that we have the accept employee. Before we hit this, let me go back here in the workflow and see what we have. So let's go to the, I think it is the employee process. We can open the editor. This takes some time. Okay, so we also forgot to add this here. So this is not published. And I think we have already enough here, the one that we created. So it is the employee review. So let's go back here. We have the employee review. Now it is all set. And let's publish. And let's try to launch the process in ODC, the workflow, and see if we can have this right. And what will happen is we're going to create some instances in here, and we can see also the data. Okay, like we had on the service center. Okay, so I guess we are, yeah, workflow published, so it is published now. And now let's go back here. Let's go back. So yeah, so we are here in the employee workflow, which is our screen. So let's see what happens here if I launch. Employee workflow launch. Okay. So let's go back here in the instances. Let's refresh. Okay, good. So now we have our first instance. So let's open. Oh, okay. So that's good. So we have currently, so we started the workflow, and now he's waiting on the human activity. Okay, so we have here, so waiting for employee review to complete this activity, which is the human activity. Okay, we also have when it was started and when we hit that button, the next button, the second button that we have, we're going to have the ended one, the date. And I guess if you click in each element activity, we're going to see also. So in this case, it started this time and it went very quickly. It was ended because it's just a start. And we also can see that the process started in here by this system event. Make sense? Okay. So let's go back here and let's go to the employee workflow and let's see if it works now. Because right now we have the employee ID, we hope, and let's see if it works. Okay, so I hit it. I forgot to add the feedback message, but it's okay. And let's see if we have a continue. So you have a move forward in the workflow. Yeah, we did. So if you go back in here in the human activity, we see now that it was started in the time that we did it when we started, and it was ended now. On my clock is 10:03 p.m. And we have the employee review system event that ran with the employee identifier. So all fine. all good. Also, we can go back here. Sorry, I have reactive app opened. And if you go to the employee, let's see what we have. Yeah, it works. So we have the employee Pedro, and now we have the accept. And that's exactly what we did here. We updated this to accept. So that's awesome. Okay. So for this video is everything. So I'll continue in the next one. Okay, so we are moving forward in the workflow, but I want to change some things here. So as we can see on the workflow, we have start activity and the human activity. But in a real app, in this case, when we have a review of an employee, we could have two different outputs. So if it was accepted or if it was rejected, okay? Something like that. This is just a test case, but you can have in a real project. Okay, so let's do that. So how we manage this? So we need to create a decision, okay? And when we create a decision, we are creating at least two ramifications, two outputs, and we can manage the way that we manage these and treat these outputs. Okay, so the decision here, I'm gonna add a description, which is let's say review. Yeah, let's say review for now, which is the employee review. And in the first outcome, we also have here the condition. Okay, this is also new to me, but I have to add something here, which is okay. And I guess, yeah, so the first outcome we can set as accept, and the second outcome it will be reject. Okay, so as you can see, we only have a condition for this. Also, let me try. Yeah, I can also add more outcomes, as you can see here, but I'm not gonna use that. So I'm gonna remove this one. So in what I expect when we reject, we do not want to send here. So let me see how I can get that away. So let me see. So we have reject. I can also move this like this. Okay, that's cool. But I would want to change this. I can also change to go to the previous step, as you can see, and we can also go to the human activity. Okay. This is a different thing, as you can see. So we reject and we go to the human activity. Okay. So we will need to review again that employee. Okay, so this is when we start dealing with the fetch more data, which we need to get a service action. We need to create in order to get data to check if the accept condition is if it was the correct or the right output. Okay, so we expect to have accept when the status is accept, when it was accepted, and rejected when it is rejected. Okay, but we need a service action. So let's go back to the studio, and under the server actions folder we have the service action. So let's create one, and let's set the name as get employee status. We also have one for some reason, so let me change this to it's because the name of the it is the name of the static entity, that's why, I guess. Not the name, but the CRUD action. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so now what we need here, we need the employee ID, and we need to know if it is accept or not. Okay, so how we do this? So we need to get the employee. We need to set max record as 1 because we are just expecting to have one employee ID, no more than one. We need to go here, add a filter. So the employee identifier, it's equal to the one that we have here, the input parameter. And we need to add an assign. Have the output parameter, and we just need to check if the employee status ID it is equal to the accept. If it is, it means that is true. If it is not, it means that is false. Okay. So by default, the service action it's public. Okay. So let me publish. Okay. So let's go back. So we can also use here the refresh app dependencies and their elements. Because if we try to get that, it will not be here. Okay. So let's refresh. Okay, so get I think it is get employee, right? So no, it's employee status get. Employee status get. Now we can get that, and also we need to set the input parameter. So we need to have the valid value, and we also have the output parameter, which is the accept, that will tell us if it is accepted or not. Okay, so regarding this, we have a suggestion, which is the human activity employee identifier. But we can also check this. So we are saying that the value that we want to assign the employee identifier, it's the same as the input parameter from the employee review system event from the human activity, which makes sense. So we need to use this. Okay. After that, on the accept condition, if you open this, now we have the output parameter from the action, from the service action. So that's what we need to use. So right now we have the accept condition, and if it is not, we go to reject, and the reject will go back to the human activity. Make sense? So let's publish. Okay, so our workflow is published. So let me go back here to the ODC, and let me just do something different. So here we are launching. So one thing here, as I'm hard coding this, what I'm going to do is to change this and add current date time, just to not have the same employee over and over again. Okay, I'm gonna do this. And the age, it can be like this. No worries about that. Also, when we create, we can change to onboarding. Okay, instead of getting the record empty on the status. I think that makes sense. We can also change that to automatic activity. That's what we're going to do in the next videos, but for now, let's just use as we have here. Okay, so let's publish the ODC now. All right, so let's go back here. Let me refresh. So let's launch the employee workflow. Let's go back to the instances. So we have a new one, which is active. Now let's accept. Before that, let's open. Let's see what we have. So now we have the human activity, which is expected. And after that, we're going to have the decision, and we're going to have if it is accept, which is here to the end, or if it goes again to the human activity. Okay, so let's accept this. I forgot also to not add the feedback message again. And let's go back here and let's see if it worked. Yeah, it worked. So we have the start, we have the human activity, and now we have the decision. And if you click on the decision, we can see everything that we need. So we have when it was started, when it was ended. This is very fast, as you can see. I think ODC here it's faster than reactive regarding processes. Both of them works in a synchronous way, but I think ODC it's more faster. It runs things much quicker. Okay. So he also tells us that we have the fetch data on, which is the fetch more data, which is that property. We are getting from the workflow tutorial, from the service action that we created, the input and output that we have, and also the outcome. So in this case, it was accept. So that's why the process or the workflow is ended. Okay. Hope this is making sense to you. Okay. And you're getting some progress. And let's continue the process, this workflow. I have much more to do here. So let's do that. Okay, so now that we have our process, our workflow with a decision, and we have two possible outcomes, accept and reject. Now let's take care, at least regarding the status for the reject. So currently for the accept, we have we are doing that on the ODC Studio, but we can also do it in here in the workflow, and that's what we're going to do for the reject. So if you go here and in the plus, we can add the automatic activity. Nope, something went wrong here, so I'm not sure why. So let's refresh. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we have our human activity, and as expected, we have the description. So let's set here employee reject status, and we need a service action in order to run something on the automatic activity. Okay, so let's go back here in the ODC Studio. And let's create a new action. Let me just grab this aggregate. And we need the employee identifier. In here, we're going to set as update employee reject status. Let's grab these two. And let's add in here the update. So here we're going to change to reject. Let me just update the name as well. So reject. And what we need to do here in the front end side, we don't have to do anything because when we launch, we're going to end up on the human activity. And after that, if we accept, we go to the accept. So no, nothing new here, already know. If that button is not clicked, it means that it was rejected. But we need to close this as well. Okay. So we need to copy and paste this. No, I'm not sure why it's not copying and pasting. Okay. So now we're going to reject employee. And we need to run the employee review, right? We need to run this. Okay, so let's go back here. In the reject employee, we are launching the employee review accept. And here we're going to change this. So it will go, it will be employee review. And this is going to run the employee review system event. Okay. But if you run this as it is, by clicking here or in here, it will be accept for both of them. But we can change this. Okay, so in here, we can also change this. So this will be on-click employee review status. But we need something here. So we need is accept. Let me change. So is accept. And also, we need to change this in here. Right? So let's go back here. In the is accept, this is the button accept. So this is true. And this is the reject. So this is false. And now we need to also grab this. And here we're going to select the accept, if it is accept or not. And we're going to run this. Okay, so what is expecting to happen is when we run the employee review, he's going to after that he's going to check if it is accept, but the time that we clicked on the reject, we're going to have the accept as false, and he will go to the reject. That's what we expect to happen, okay? Just to make sure here, when we run this, we run this employee review, but after that, we run this. Okay, so in the accept, so we have here the, so we have the accept, So let's see. Yeah, we have the accept here. I guess this will work. We need to check. Then we check if it was accept. If it is accept, we change this. If not, we just send to end. Because again, we're not going to update in here, we're going to update in the workflow. So let's see what's happening here. So on this set, we need also to send this. And let's see if it works. This is the first time I'm trying this, so hope we get a good result here. Okay, so now it's published. Let's go back in our app. So now we have a new button. Let's start by launching the employee workflow. It is published. Oh, we forgot to. So let's go here to the refresh. Let's get update employee reject status. And we need to send the employee, which is the one that we already have. So let's publish. We need always to publish the workflow. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so it's now ready. Let's run again. Okay. Every time that we publish here in the workflow, we get a new revision. Okay, so now we have the 5th. This was the previous one, I guess. Let me refresh. We should get the 6th, I guess. Maybe not. Let me see. Okay, I'm not sure. This should be the 6th, and I'm not sure why it's not. But let's go here in the instance and let's see what we have. So no, this is not the correct one. It's not here. We need to have the 6. So let me run again. So this is published. Yeah. Okay. Okay. As you can see, we have the 6th revision. So let's open. So we have the start, human activity decision, and the possible outcomes, and automatic activity. So let's go back here and let's try the reject. Okay. I always forget to add the feedback message. So let's refresh and see if it works. Yeah, it worked. So we are now on the human activity. It was completed, and we are on the. So we completed the automatic activity there. So employee reject status. So we are here again. So as you can see, he cloned that because we sent back here, and we are here again, as you can see. Okay. But let's go back here and let's see if our employee is in reject status. Yeah, it is. So it is working. So this was a good progress. Next videos we're going to talk about parallel, conditional start, wait, and other things here. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna cover the entities that we have for the process in ODC. Okay, so if we try to add public elements, which is the managed dependencies from reactive or traditional, and now if we search for process, okay, we're going to have these tables and also these actions. So we have the activity instance. Activity instance is the activity from the reactive. Okay, it holds all activities that we have in our workflows. So the description here is entity that stores a record for each activity that occurs while a process instance is active. Okay, so every activity that we have for every workflows or every process that are running, that's the table that we're going to store. Okay, just to do comparison from the reactive in the system, if you search for process, we don't get that. So the search from Odyssey and in here it's not equal. But here the activity that I'm talking about is this one. Okay, that's the one that we have here in the Odyssey. So after that we have the human activity instance. Okay, in here we hold all human activities. This is not the same as we have here. We don't have that in reactive. One way to get that is with the activity kinds. So you can join with activity and activity kind with a certain process. And with that activity kind, you can filter by human activity and see all human activity that you have for that process. Okay. But in here, in the ODC, we have a specific table just for that. I don't know why they do this, why they did this, but it's okay. Next, we have the process definition. The process definition is the same that we have here. So let me change. It's the same as here. So the process definition, as I know, is like an extended table from the process. Okay. When we have the name, label, description, in more detail, what is the process. Okay. So next, we have the process instance. So if you check here in the description, okay, so entity that stores a record for each active process instance. This is something that we don't have here. Okay, we don't have that in here in the reactive. But I'll get all of them just to show you what they have and what we can do. Okay, for some reason we already have the process. No, it's because we are ticking. No, it's not. That's weird. And also we have the process terminated. We can get that. Let's just start with the process, and next we continue for the activity. Okay. So let's get here the system. So the activity instance, as we can see, it is a lot of difference from the activity that we have in here in reactive. So if I get the activity, let me get just to show you. And if you go here in the activity, yeah, this is it is not the same here. So this means what? This means that in the reactive, we have much more attributes that we can control and do validation and so on in order to move forward or wait on something that happens in our app. But in Odyssey, it is more controlled from the Odyssey Service Center in here, okay, in the workflow. So in here, what we have, so we have the ID. The activity definition is the same that we have for process definition. It's like an extension from the activity that we have in more detail. I could also get that. I don't have that. Let me get that one. Just to have the full entities. Also, let me get the human activity and activity open. Let me get that too. And now the activity definition. We can also check the name of the activity. Okay, activity names, if I had any progress. And here we now have that. Also, we have the key, which is the identifier in here. So this key, as I know, if you go here in the workflow and go here in the ellipsis, we have copy activity definition key. That's the one. Right now, if you want to work with that, you need to use this table. Okay. At least now I never worked with that, but just to explain you what is it. Okay. So after that, we have the process instance. Okay. And that stores the record for each active process instance. So the instance, let me go back here. So the instance is this. Okay. Oh, sorry, I clicked twice. Okay, so the instance is this. It's like the process ID. Okay. Next, we have the process definition and the status of the activity. Okay. So let's go dive here in the activity. In here, I guess we have the same that we have in here. So we have 6. I think in reactive, I think we have a little bit more. Let me check. Let me check here. Okay, so activity status. I guess we have one more. Oh no, we have much more. So we have, let's say, like 11, 12. So we have much more here. I'm not sure why they removed the status. Maybe it was like because we have some activity status that go very quickly, so it doesn't take long to be in that activity status. So I think that's why they removed that. Okay. Okay, so started on is when we started the activity. Last modified the on. It can be if you run something regarding the activity or if it is ended and so on. Okay, and if it is expired or not. So the activity kind is the same that we have in the ones on the reactive. Okay, and also if you look here, we don't have the parallel. Do you see? And you know why? We don't have the parallel because the parallel, it's not an activity. Parallel is like a group, and inside of that we have the activities. So when we start the parallel, in reality we are on, in this case, in the human activity. We are not in the parallel. Do you see? So that's why we don't have the parallel, and it makes sense. For me, at least, it makes sense. Okay, so let's continue here. Now we have the human activity instance, which makes with the foreign key the activity instance. Why? Because the human activity, it needs to have activity instance. And as you can see here, we have a one-to-one relationship. I can also create here a diagram, so let's do that. So we have one-to-one relationship. So it means that in order to have an instance here, we need first to have an instance here. In this instance, it will be equal to here. Okay. So after that, we have the signed user ID. we can work that in here. So if you go here, we have here the assign to, okay? And if we do that, you're going to have the assign user ID here. Also, we have the message, who's evaluated the result on the expression specified message property. I'm not sure if you have here. I guess we have. Yeah, I guess it's this. The display message can be like a guide just saying, oh, this activity you should do this, or you need to review that, or you need to check for that document, or something like that. It's that's why we have the display message. Holds the relative URL path on the screen. So the URL is the the destination screen. Okay. Let me go back to ODC. Yeah. Hope this is making for you a lot of sense. So let's continue. So human activity role. This is regarding the roles. So we can work with. Sorry. So we can work with the user, or we can work with the roles. Okay. Now, so the process definition I already explained to you. And here we have the process instance, and the process instance is the same as the process as we have in the reactive, okay? So if we check here in the system, we're going to get the process. The process, we have, again, a lot of things here. We have the parent, we have process ID, activity, and that's a lot, okay? Here we don't need that, as I told you, because in reality, in here, we cannot add a process. That's one thing that we're going to cover later in the course, but you cannot create processes inside the process like we do in here in reactive. It doesn't work like that, the workflow in ODC, okay? It's a different beast. Okay, so far so good. And in the end, we have the process status, which is the active with errors, then and terminated. This is also different from the reactive. Reactive we have much more, and this is the main tables that we need in order to create tables in the front end, in the screen, in order to see the data and move on in the workflows that we have for our clients. Okay. All right. So far so good. We did a lot. Hope this was a good journey to you, this tutorial. Hope this was helpful for you, for your projects when dealing with ODC. Also, you can apply some things here and there on the reactive and traditional, but it's not the same because we are working workflow. It's a different interface. We have different properties and different ways to build the process or the workflow. And I have much more to show you, but in here in the YouTube, this is the last video here in the last part on the course, on the tutorial. But if you want to move forward and continue to see the other things I have to show you on the process, parallel, we have conditional start, we have waits, we have other properties, other secrets here, and tips that I can give you. So please check my comment below on the video that we have a full course in the Udemy, with a very cheap price. So if you are really into it and you really need to learn this, so check the course. And if you need a discount, also you can talk to me on LinkedIn. I can also add the link here in the same comment, and you can ask me. No worries, I'll answer to you. It's for me, it's okay, and I'll send you a discount okay? 30%, 40%, it depends. Because no worries about that. So I'm just trying to help you. And please make sure that if you really need this, just move forward with this, and I'll see you in the course, in the full course. And please subscribe and add a like on the video. Thank you so much.